Hey guys. It's VEDS day 26. Bear with me. I am gonna make a car video because I started this video earlier and then it got cut off because I didn't have enough room on my phone. So sorry. This may not work. But it's something I've been wanting to talk about for a while. And then Amy gets a VSG, or Amy360, she posted some stuff this week in her video, similar, and then it just kind of spawned these other thoughts. So, basically what she talked about in her video, one of the things was, in her fabulous video, if you don't know her, you need to go subscribe, is that she did not buy into the logic of all people who are overweight and obese had an eating disorder. And I 100% agree with that. I don't know that I have ever had an eating disorder. Sorry. I can tell you, maybe I just need to hold it, but then I feel like I'm not focusing as well on the road. That I have a bit of an emotional eating issue sometimes. Not all the time. And I don't, like, there have been certain situations, like, like for instance, when I got married, the actual day of my wedding, my dress was so loose because I went for like the 2 weeks before not eating at all. But there have been other things that I have, you know, like whenever something bad has happened, I immediately wanted a sandwich or whatever. But some of that is just years of my parents, my dad in particular. If you're having a bad day, he used to say stuff like, just go take a bath, order yourself a pizza, just take it easy, stuff like that. But anyways, so I definitely don't buy into the whole, all people who have a weight problem are, have an eating disorder. And it always bothers me. I know there are people who do think that. And there are probably somebody who's watching this that thinks that I'm crazy for thinking that. Thinking the way that I do, but I just don't. And the more I read, the more I study, the more I've learned and grown in this journey, and I've learned about my body, I definitely buy into the more of your body has a certain set point, a happy weight, if you will, that it wants to be at, that it likes. And that with weight loss surgery, for whatever reason, it basically resets your point. And so that's why for most of us who cannot get the weight off any other way, that is basically what happens. It just resets our point for us. You're getting so fast? We're gonna go Charlie's game. So basically that happens. Or I believe that's one of the things that happens. I think in my case, that totally happened for me. I think that had I not gotten pregnant, which again, this is exactly what this whole journey had been about for me. If I hadn't gotten pregnant, or if I had not maybe breastfed, because I really think that's when I jacked myself up, I would not have messed up my set point. I think I basically reset the reset. And not in a positive way. I think it's almost like my body remembered the internal original set. I think had I not gotten pregnant, I may have had some regain, but it wouldn't have been 60 pounds. It would have been maybe 20, maybe. Because I do think regain is normal. Although I will tell you that I was killing it constantly in the gym. I was killing it with my food choices. And toward the end, before I got pregnant, I was eating a more moderate lifestyle. But I still feel like I wouldn't have had the massive regain that I've had. And all this may just be excuses that you think that I'm giving myself, but there's not an excuse. I really just think that that's just what's going on. I think that hormones play into that. I think that genetics play a great deal into that. I just think that each of our bodies is so different. Something else I wanted to discuss while I'm got your attention is this mindset, and I recently watched a video where someone discussed this, that all people who are overweight or who have had some kind of weight issue or are obese, morbidly obese, super morbidly obese, whatever it is, have had some kind of traumatic event in their life that has taken place to make them that way, that they turn to food because of these instances. I do believe that there are definitely cases where that probably has happened. And just the 4 years that I've been on this journey with a lot of friends, I can tell you for a fact that they truly believe that there was a moment in time or moments in time that were very awful, very tragic for them. Some things happened to them in their life that led them to overeating or not wanting to be fat, but kind of hiding in the food or their skin. They didn't feel as vulnerable when they were large. I definitely think that happens. I do not, however, think that is the case for everyone. And again, hear me out. I know that happens. That is not the case for everyone. That was not the case for me. I joke all the time that I chunked up between the ages of 2 and 4. I was a big girl. I've always been a big girl. Nothing, to my knowledge, ever negative or bad or traumatic. I've never been exposed to any kind of abuse. I just was a big girl, and I like to eat. I don't remember having issues of feeling like I needed to hide food or, there were definitely, I went through a phase where I was eating 2 dinners. I was coming home from school and eating dinner with my grandmother at 3:30, and who was at home at her house, who's right beside ours, and then coming home and eating dinner again. And I can remember there come a point where my parents were like, have you already eaten? Because if you've already eaten, you don't need to eat a second dinner. I'm sure at that point they were like, we've got some issues here, some weight issues that we probably need to try to measure. But at no point did my parents put me on a diet or talk to me about my weight. When I was 16 or 17, that's the first time that I ever went on a diet, and I wanted the help for myself. I wanted to be healthier, and I can remember it being a very positive experience. I can remember losing a lot of weight, and again, I had to know. I knew at that point that I had weight issues, and so I needed to get some help. But I never had a traumatic event in my life that made me turn toward food. I don't know. Weight issues are on both sides of my family, particularly my mom's side of the family. But, I don't know if it was genetics. I don't know. But for me in particular, I just have always been a big girl. That is just my DNA. And I think one of the reasons when I got so small that people were actually so, I don't want to say ugly, but just not happy with my size. I got constantly, looking back, I was really small. But people that I've known my whole life were not necessarily approving of the fact that I'd lost weight. And there may have been some people that were jealous, but the majority of the people couldn't recognize me anymore, didn't recognize who I was, didn't understand why I have always been so large that I would ever want to be this small. And I was just going where my body was taking me at the time. I can't tell you the number of people, even though I am not currently comfortable necessarily in my skin, that talk to me about how great I look now, or, that I put some weight back on, that I look like me, but a smaller version, because I'm still, 130 pounds down. So I'm healthier, I'm happier, but I'm still, they can recognize me. It was weird going into the store with people I've known my whole entire life wouldn't have a clue who I was. And that was weird on both ends. anyways, that's just my take of it. I may not be done talking about this. It just really bothers me when we put everybody in this one bubble. I don't, you know, I'm trying to think of something else that's I don't want to say racial profile, but a profile for people. I'm trying to think. I don't need to use that as an example because somebody's going to jump on here and yell at me. But, you know, I know plenty of people, or I've known people in the past that are men in particular that may have been, or let's just use a woman because I'm a woman, that may have been more tomboyish or may have been more lean toward a more, okay, I'm just going to stop because I'm going to end up stepping on somebody's toes and I don't want to, because I just don't think that we can look at somebody and judge a book by their cover. Everybody is different. Every person is special. I've always felt that way, even with children, children with diagnosis. We want to put all children with autism in this bubble, and you can't. Families come into play there. Their environment comes into play there. Through the years of early intervention teaching, I can't tell you the number of families that were like, oh my gosh, my child has autism, he's flapping his arms. Well, that could be an indicator, but that does not mean. I mean, some people, that's how they express their excitement. Or they may have an older brother who also flaps his arms for excitement. Or there's all these things that can come into play. Like, we just can't say. There's a multiple red flags that we look for with to give somebody a diagnosis like autism. It's not just one singular thing. And I think that that is the case also with obesity. I'm not at all trying to act like obesity is the same thing as autism. That's just an example that I was using for today. So, I don't know. It's just a thought, and I would like to know what you guys think. Bye.